Okay, so now that I have the sound system on, one of the last things we have to make sure is turned on is over to the side, and you have to make sure that the EQ is turned on, the compressor's turned on. The sound system will work without it, but they're needed in order to help the sound good. The compressor, what it basically does is it makes sure that the sound never gets too loud and that the quiet ever get too quiet. So if it does get really quiet, it cuts out the sound system so that there's no noise brought into the system just by sitting there with a microphone or whatever. So it's important to have both of them turned on. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to turn on I'm going to run basically my MP3 player through that sound system, and it's on channels 21 and 22. I have it plugged in through there, and we can get all that another thing, but it's all basically plugged in. And so what we need to do to turn it on is we don't even have to have it make sound yet. First of all, you want to make sure that your source, whether an MP3 player, a guitar, a vocalist, whatever, is always playing at its loudest performance level. And if anything has a volume, like a guitar or a keyboard or something, you do want to try to have it as loud of a signal or as high a signal out of the instrument or device as possible. That still gives you control. Basically, if it's too loud and you can't get to the little U on the trim control, then if you can't at least get there, then they need to turn it down. But you want it to be as much signal as you can handle, you can still control, because what will happen is the signal, these trim knobs, what they do is they amplify the signal coming in, they amplify the input. And what happens is if you have a really quiet input, well, then there's noise on there, and the noise is is probably a similar volume to the signal coming in. And if the signal coming in is really quiet, and the noise is comparatively louder, when you amplify that signal with the trim knob, you're just going to amplify the noise as well as the signal. So if the signal is higher, then the signal to noise ratio is lower, so that when you amplify, you're not amplifying the noise as much, or won't be able to hear any noise or hum as much. So you want to make sure that the volume on the device, the drum kit, the pedal board, the keyboard, whatever, is as high as you can still have control over. That will at least get you to you can at least get up to unity, but that you can still control. Otherwise, you will start to introduce a little bit of noise into the system. Now, the first thing I do here with my MP3 player, I've got the volume all the way up on the MP3 player, and so you got to remember that each one of these channel strips here is exactly the same. Once you know how to control one, you can control any one of them, and it's all the same procedure. It's all the same way to go. And so what we do to get the signal going is, the first thing I do is I unmute the channel. And you click the mute button and make it, the red button goes away. Then you push solo, and you'll see the button blink. You'll also see on these meters over here, you'll start to see them getting up green, and then this button blinks and stuff, and that's totally fine. So you have it there. Then you want to press down the right-left button, which is this button at the bottom. It says L-R. You want to push that button, and then you got that. And then you come up to the trim knob, and you're watching the meter display while you're turning the trim knob. So you turn it up, and I've got it up to right about noon, and I look at the meter knob, and it's still pretty low. I could probably bump it up some more. So there we go. You want it to hit about 0, or this arrow that's right here. That's where you want it to peak out. So now it's kind of getting a little loud, so I can back it down. So that's probably good. You absolutely do not want it to be hitting the yellow, and you absolutely do not want to be hitting the red. If you see it hit the red, or worse yet, you see this, where the green LED is, you see it start to flicker, that's good. But where the red LED is, if you see that start to flicker, that's bad. That's basically overload, and what'll happen is it'll clip, what's called clip the signal. So it just shuts off the signal and doesn't let it get any higher then it's then it's overload value, and you'll get really distorted sound through the sound system. It'll sound really bad. So you guys want the level to hit about 0. That's good in general. And once that hits about 0, then you're free to do some EQing, which we'll talk about that in another video, which is these EQ knobs here. But you're all ready to go, at least to produce sound. So then what you want to do with the left to right down, push your fader up to unity, or the U. Turn off the solo button. So now there's no blinking light. And then on the main mix, left right, you want to turn that up as desired. And so now the speaker's turned on. The speaker's turned on, and the sound's coming through. So that's pretty much how to get sound just basically out of the sound system. So now you're all set. Now when you want to do monitor mix, mute that, get that all the way down so that it's down to 0 or infinity and you don't hear any sound. And then you'll come over, and let's say we want to do aux 1, which is this top dial here. We turn that up, probably about there is fine, but you want to, you can do it at the D10 if you want it right at noon. And then we slowly bring that up, and they'll start to hear signal, and it's the aux 1, for channel 21 and 22 dial. You turn that up as loud as desired, and then now you've got the monitors all ready to go. So that is the basics of doing the sound system. If you just know how to do one channel, if you can do one channel well, you can do them all. It's all about listening and then just mixing from there. So to turn it off, you do the opposite. To turn it off, what you're going to do then is you're going to turn off the speakers first, then turn off the soundboard. Otherwise, again, you'll get that pop. So turn off just the subwoofers, turn those off first, then turn off the board just like you turned it on. Turn off the EQ and the CD player and the compressor, and you should be all ready to go.